bit of dark, and I usually use a palette knife to mix with because all your paint ends up going in your brush. Thank you, darling. Oh, and she's got the perfect size one. This is the perfect size palette knife. I'm gonna mix up, and I got sap green out so that I didn't have to hurry up and mix green. But you'd learn more today if you'll just use red, yellow, and blue. That'll help you a lot with your painting. And I'm gonna mix a little bit of red and green because that's what an apple is. All fruit is green before it turns red, pretty much, right?
That's right.
I haven't really thought that out through, but I'm pretty sure it is. And so I'm gonna go this way with the red when I mix, and then I'm gonna get darker with the green this way. And then I also have some brighter red that I'm gonna mix yellow with. If I mix white with this red, it's gonna turn into a pink apple. So I wanna use yellow to lighten the red with. And if I use too much yellow, it's gonna get orange, really orange. So, and it'll start to look like an orange. So what I'll do is I'll mix a little bit of a little bit of yellow with it, and then mix a little bit of white with it. If I think I see some areas like in the highlight that are that light. I pull my white out in a thin strip so that when I pull white off, I'm not contaminating the big pile. That's something I say in almost every class, so y'all will hear me say that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a little bit of a trial run here first on my palette. Not everybody mixes this way, but I find it helpful because I can work out a lot of my problems right here. I'll hold I'm really far away and I'm looking through my easel here, but I'll hold my palette knife up to see if that's even anywhere close to where I want to go with my color. Because I like to see. If I like it on here, chances are I'll like it up here. And I already have some little pools mixed to work from instead of just mixing as I go. If you like to mix as you go, it's totally fine. So I'm pulling the green out this way. I have a little bit of red with it. And I'm gonna mix some yellowish green for the top of the apple. And so I'm just mixing a little bit of yellow in. I'm gonna pull out a little bit more. Actually, why don't I mix the cloth color first? That makes a lot more sense. So you see how I start, instead of mixing one big pile of all the wrong color, I mix little thin pools and I pull them out in different directions to test my color. Because the main thing I see when people first start is they mix a big, huge pool, like a big vat full. And they're like, is this the right color? And I'm like, mm-mm. And they're like, oh, crap, what am I gonna do with all this color? I'm like, I don't know.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Work.
So all I used was sap green. If I'd have made my own green, I would have used the blue and the yellow. But I have some sap green I squeezed out of the tube. And I've got a dark green for the folds of that cloth. And then I'm pulling it out with yellow. And I may pull it all the way out with some white. I'm gonna try to keep the red out of it because the red will dull it a little bit, make it kind of brownish. And that might be the color for the top of my apple right there. So really, just really quickly, I mix that all up. So what I wanna do right now is I wanna go ahead and put my darkest dark in first. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over here with the red, and I've darkened it with green. I'm gonna put even a little bit more green because I want it to be really, the darkest place on this apple is right here where it meets the table, where the shadow is. So I'm gonna go ahead and mass in my shadow real fast. And it's gonna drag across here and feel kind of like toothpaste. So if you can imagine your brush being a spoon, scoop it up and have a nice gob to lay on here. And you'll find that you work a lot less hard when you scoop up your paint and you're not all chintzy with it. Then I'm gonna move over here. Keep your paper towel in your hand so you can wipe your brush. Wipe often, that keeps you from getting muddy. And then go over here and get a little bit brighter red to lay right next to it. See, I don't have enough color. I need more color. I'm gonna lay some just pure red right there. And I'm gonna kind of paint a stripe here. I'm gonna get a little lighter as I go up. Let me grab a little bit more of this yellow. A little bit lighter here.
Yes, I went back here. I can see that.
I'm going to pretend like this is, I learned this in toll painting class, to just do it in little mosaics of color.
Scoot forward.
No, you're perfect.
It was wonderful. It was probably one of the best things I ever learned, was just to do little chunks of color then wipe my brush. And if you really want to keep your colors clean, when I move to my green, I'll change to another brush. So there's a little bit of this yellowish green on the top of the apple across the back. I'm not worried about the stem right now. So I see that yellowish. It gets a little bit greener as it moves towards the front of the apple right here. And then it wraps around the back just a little bit right here. So I'm just working, everywhere I'm working in mosaics right now. I'm not thinking anything, I'm not blending right now. I'm just doing little pieces. Now, this is one way to do it. Not everybody paints like this. I'm also thinking about modeling around the apple as if I were going around it this way. That helps build a little bit of form. Where would you say is the brightest, most vibrant place on the apple?
Wherever the light hits it.
That top left.
Yeah, the top front there in the left. And this cad red is really dark. So I really would like a cad red light, which is more of an orangey red. But that's usually between the shadow and the light is where your most gorgeous, brilliant color is. So I'm going to say right there.
Between your shadow and the light.
Between the shadows here
Yeah.
and the lights up here, and then right next to it is usually right in between those two is where the real brilliant color is. I'm not close enough to see everything that's going on there. So you'll do better if you'll get a little bit closer. And then all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the lightest green here, which is almost a yellow, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to quickly mass in the top of this. Don't think about a lot of details right now. Just get it covered. Because if you piddle, and look, I got in the red already. If you piddle around here, there's nothing to compare until you get something on the page to compare. Something on the canvas to start comparing to the other stuff around it. That's really yellow, but I can fix that. It's greener as I go towards the front. And see how the charcoal just wipes off. Get some more of this sap green over here. When you get red in it, it's dulling it. So I've got red over here. I've been kind of messy. So try to use two different brushes from red, green. That'll keep your colors, that'll keep you from contaminating.
Would you suggest we wipe off some of that charcoal first?
Yeah. Blow it and wipe it off.
Yeah, I have.
So really and truly, this is my main thing. This is what I would do is mask this in really fast. And with a big brush, use as large a brush as you can make yourself use. Because if you're not, you're working yourself to death. Everybody feels more comfortable with a little tiny detail brush, but this actually could get away with a much larger brush. I will probably just go ahead and do some, I'm not going to do pure white because that's not what's going on over there. But I'll mask this in kind of quick. Let me think, what color do I even think I see over there? What do you think it is on the background?
I see almost like a lavender.
Pink or
Yeah, it does feel kind of lavender.
lavender on the right.
It's warm a little bit.
Yeah, from what I can see
Yeah.
on
It's
the
almost
right.
like a reflection from that Happy Day picture behind it, maybe.
Yeah.
You think?
Maybe.
I
see it.
at the
If you
right
think-
place.
On the left corner, I was looking at the bottom corner and I see green because of the scarf. But you're talking about the left upper corner, yeah, it's purpley.
So I'm gonna mix just a tiny bit of purple. And I'm using my brush right now because I'm trying to hurry. I'm gonna mix a little
Do
bit
you
of
want
a
one of
purple.
my big ones? I chose a large brush.
You did. You are
So
such a good
noted.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that being purplish.
Student of the month over here.
Yeah.
Just like it's smaller, it's smaller.
Quit showing off, Harriet. All right. So actually, that's kind of nice because that's purple and yellow.
Yeah.
So I think that'll work. So I'm going to go a little more purpley. You know, red and blue make purple. You don't have to remember all this. Ask me if you don't remember what color makes what. Because you're not supposed to know everything or you wouldn't need to come here, right? Job security for me if you don't know everything. But I promise I won't hold back. I'm going to tell you everything I know. I'm not going to hold anything back. So basically, I'm quickly... No.
It's like kindergarten, red and blue. And I'm like, are you sure?
All right, and over here, what color do you think the front of that box is? I'm just going to do it anyway because I'm
Bluish
trying to
to
hurry so
me.
y'all can paint. It's
kinda
still kind of
blue.
purplish.
Why do I see blue?
You see blue? It's
I
a
see like
bluish
a
purple.
okay. I was like,
And
it
squint.
seems kind of.
when you squint, you can more definitely
Oh, yeah,
see
you can with the sweating.
the value
And
of
the
it.
lighter's lighter.
The
Is
lightest
like the key.
light, I'm gonna leave that purple on my brush. The lightest light is right here.
See it all red, just with that makes it pop.
And there's nothing there yet. There's no real, it's not as light, and we get a little purple over here. It's not as light over here because the light's hitting down here. So there's nothing, there's no real detail yet. But this is really all I want you to have. So I have my background brush, I have my green, and I'm gonna go back in and paint this. But what I can do is I can mask this in really fast. If I can help you do this, not be afraid, because everybody goes, we're just so careful because we might mess up, and then this whole $2 canvas is going to be ruined. We're going to have to throw it in the trash, and it's like, no, it's just $2. Don't let it intimidate you. And so look, I'm going to get a little bit of that. Then I'll get a softer brush. These are my wonderful mongoose brushes, and I'm not ready yet because I want to have this pretty loaded up with paint so that when I use these soft brushes, it'll move around. Then I'm going to go in here and start wiggling them, keep wiping my thing off, wiggling them together and making some really beautiful transitions. And then I'll go back and maybe do a whole nother layer on it and start and move in a little bit closer and pop that highlight on the apple. But I want to get the whole thing covered and then step back from it. And then we can start to, now we can make progress because we go, is this too dark? Maybe. Yep, when I squint my eyes and look from there to there, this is way too dark. This is probably about the right light, but it's almost pure white. This needs to be brighter, so I add more yellow and white to it. So now I have something I can work with. Yeah. But if you just piddle and you're working like for 45 minutes on this, you stall out. But if you keep your brushes separate so that you're not making mud, mass it in. And then we'll come back and I'll go around and assess everybody and go, okay, this is what we need to do now. And you can troubleshoot a lot easier, so. I wish I had pictures from when I was in art class so many years ago painting.
Like somebody would take it.
I know, nobody took pictures back then. Yeah. Just even of my class and all the people. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with that.
You know what though? I love memories because I feel like honestly I always remember things.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Really pretty. Now you're going to get your little soft brush, and you know how to do that from doing all that glazing stuff. Yours too, Ashley.
Well, I'm having a hard time sucking up this paint.
That's the way those canvases do. The cheap ones is different. No, y'all are fine. When the baby comes, I'll just take her in there and y'all keep painting. Yes, it's perfect.
Because is it supposed to be smaller?
All right, let me show you something.
Huh? Yeah.
When you get back and you get it home and see it, you're gonna love it. You're gonna go, look what I did. Oh yeah, yep.
She's scared to touch it.
I am.
No, she's got to get the base on that apple because the apple is too round. It's got to have that little squared off base.
I have a peach